And to help us talk more about the future of battling climate change into the new year, I'm joined by Michael K.Dorsey. He's the chair and director at the Rob&Melani Walton Sustainability Solutions Service. Thanks so much for coming on the show during a holiday week.
Thank you, Karina, for having me on.
First of all, no nation is exempt, right? No one's safe. But which countries or regions are the most vulnerable, in your opinion, to climate-related disasters, including drought, flooding, extreme heat, and why?
Well, climate catastrophes are certainly uneven. That's why we have the term climate justice and climate injustice. And really, it's the poorest countries in the world that really contribute the least to the climate crisis that bear the brunt of the catastrophes. We've seen literally, like Tropical Storm Trami, we saw over 100 lives lost in the Philippines. We've seen wildfires taking, again, hundreds of lives in places like Chile, and flooding across places like Nepal that had killed almost 200 people. So it's those poor countries in the global south that bear the brunt of the catastrophes. But also the costs are quite large in the global north, in the rich countries. NASA tracked over 24 $1 billion or above catastrophic weather events just in the United States alone. So the costs fall heavily on the poorest countries, those that contribute least to the climate crisis, but they're also felt in the global north in wealthy countries like the United States.
Definitely. So it's clear we as a planet are not meeting our targets when it comes to mitigating the effects of climate change. What are the key priorities that we need to focus on now?
So we need to do at least two big things. We need to get more money to the poorest countries and those on the margins of society, both inside of wealthy countries, but also in the poor countries in the global south. We need to actually increase the amount of money, not by 10 or 100, but really 1,000 or 10,000 times. The conversations that we saw at the Conference of the Parties, the UN Climate Summit, earlier this year, or earlier this month, rather, were really not fit for purpose. The scale of the money was considerably smaller than what the world needs. We need to have the conversation about monies in the trillions of dollars. We're having it in the billions of dollars. And to some listeners, that may not sound like a big difference. Billions and trillions, it may sound the same. But imagine, going on a vacation where you need, $10,000 or $1,000 and coming into the travel agent with, pennies, nickels, and dimes. You're just not going to have the conversation at all. So really, the funding has to scale up, and we've got to get that money to those that need the money urgently and quickly.
Yeah, so at COP29, the pledge that they came up with at the end was $300 billion annually, but really what underdeveloped countries are looking for is a commitment of $1 trillion annually, so we're a long ways off from that. Switching gears a little bit, China is a big emitter of carbon, but it is also the world leader in renewable energy production and rapid growth, especially wind and solar. What is it doing that other developed nations need to consider as best practice? Why has it been so successful?
Well, China's sort of approach to scaling renewables is indeed leading. It's leading the world in terms of electrical vehicles, in terms of distribution of solar and wind. And really, I think it's a lesson for many that if you're going to get out ahead of this problem, you've got to really just make the commitments and get things in the ground. The U.S., however, is interesting. Here in America, we see a huge backlog of renewable energy projects. So there's a huge desire to put them in the ground, but problems in the grid are causing that backlog and making projects not come online as fast as they could. So there are examples around the world what we can look to. China is one of them, but we can also see that the overall renewable economy is growing. It's doubled, actually. Installed solar and wind has doubled over the previous year, and it looks like it's going to double again. We're the first year we're seeing north of $1 trillion invested in renewable energy, and we're on course to set probably another record next year with probably north of $2 trillion, the first time in humanity that we see those types of size investments in renewable energy.
Climate clock is definitely ticking. In just over 4 years, we're on track to reach a 1.5 degrees Celsius average rise in global temperature, the roof that was discussed at the Paris Climate Accord. How imperative is it for us to act now so we don't exceed that rise? And what are the consequences if we don't?
Well, we've got to, again, get more resources to the people that are experiencing the brunt of these climate catastrophes and catastrophic weather events. We've got to get the money to them much faster than we're doing it. And the failure to act now means we're going to see worse catastrophic weather events. The cost of them is going to grow. We might get in the realm of not tracking $1 billion in north weather events, but we might see, $5 and $10 billion catastrophic weather events. So we've got to make the investments now that'll protect us in the long run and avoid the catastrophic weather and catastrophic climate that we're seeing undermine not just ecosystems, but also have devastating effects on people's lives and livelihoods.
All right, we will have to leave it there. Michael Dorsey, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.